Well, look, the day that Mr. Picardo has anything nice to say about me, that's the day that I'll start worrying. For as long as Mr. Picardo says that I should resign, I know that I'm doing my job and I'm doing my job well. Look, there are a number of points that Mr. Picardo makes. One of them is that somehow the information that I've asked in Parliament is subject to confidentiality. Because he is comparing Credit Finance Company Limited to a bank, it's nonsensical. A bank is run by its own board of directors, independent of the government. It's regulated independently by the Financial Services Commission. It has very complicated and honest rules about solvency, about capital requirements. This is a company that's been licensed by Mr. Picardo himself as the finance minister. It's owned and controlled by the government. It's government ministers that are effectively making the decisions, because you're not expecting anybody to believe that the £40 million that they've provided to the Sun Board has actually been, that's a decision that's been made by Enes Gomez, the Chief Secretary. It's a nonsense. So it's just simply not comparable. If it were otherwise, all that a government would need to do in order to keep the public finances of Gibraltar from parliamentary scrutiny is incorporate a company and put the money in a government-owned company. It's a nonsense. Now, the other point that he makes is about the tax. Look, I have said that we're entitled to scrutinize who are the beneficiaries of these payments are, and that I know that some of them are GSLP supporters. I know that some of them are GSLP supporters. I've been provided with the information. Look, that doesn't mean that all of the beneficiaries of these loans in order to pay tax arrears are GSLP supporters.
So then what's the problem?
No, because I am entitled to know what the picture is so that I can make my own mind up as to whether GSLP supporters predominantly are benefiting from this scheme. And let's not forget that the government...
Is that what you're saying, that it's predominantly GSLP supporters that are benefiting?
What I'm saying is that I do not have the entire picture. What I have said is, one, that tax arrears are being paid off by loans from Credit Finance Company Limited. On the government's own admission, this is absolutely correct. And secondly, that some of those are GSLP supporters. Now, the government has form in relation to favouring its own supporters. It's happened in the Sardinia case. It's happened in the promotion in the bus company. It's happened in other areas. And the government also has form in relation to keeping from the opposition vital information.
Well, in the interview that I did with Mr. Picardo last week, he rejected categorically that any of the money in Credit Finance Company Limited is being used to pay the tax bills of GSOP or Liberal Party supporters. He said that was a very serious allegation by you and that it's simply not true.
Look, what he has done, and with respect to Mr. Picardo, he is being disingenuous. He is equating tax arrears with income tax and pay away. That's the first point, because we know that the government is actually using credit finance in order to pay off rates arrears. Rates are indirect taxes. I have asked about input duty, I've asked about corporate tax. The government has remained silent in relation to that.
The Chief Minister said last week that you'd asked the wrong question because it was equivalent to asking for someone's medical records. But that, for example, if you had asked for the lending criteria of Credit Finance Company Limited, he would have been able to give you that information.
It's a complete nonsense. A complete nonsense. I asked what payments, loans and investments had been made by Credit Finance Company Limited, to whom and when. He could have given me that information. It wouldn't have satisfied me, but he could have given me that information, blanking out the names. Why should I just simply ask about the policy behind payments when what I'm really interested in is how the taxpayers' and savers' money is being spent? I think it's perfectly reasonable for me to ask that question.